Hi there, it's Dave from davestravelpages.com here, and today I'm bringing you a video about cycling from Alaska to Argentina. Now, it was some time ago that I did the bike ride from Alaska to Argentina. I think I finished actually 6 years ago now, but I still get plenty of questions asked me through my email, through my blog about various things along the road. And I answer each email, and I love answering emails, so if you've got any more questions, just fire them away on dave@davestravelpages.com. But in this case, I thought I'd make a video for you. So here we go. What was the average amount of money you spent each day? So I spent $13 a day on the Pan American Highway cycle ride, and that's the route between Alaska and Argentina. The route took me 18 months to complete, so that was $13 a day spread out over the 18 months. The reason it was so cheap was that I did some wild camping, I cooked for myself, I stayed at Warm Showers, which is a hospitality network for cyclists, and it's a great way to meet people from different countries. So a cyclist will say that they will host people travelling through the area. As a cyclist, you will then get to meet them, learn a bit about the country, and become a bit more social, because bicycle touring can be a bit antisocial at times. One of the other reasons, of course, is that a lot of countries are very, very cheap. I mean, Peru and Bolivia, the cost of living is ridiculously cheap. And as a cyclist, your needs are few, as they say. So that answers that, $13 a day. One more point I should make is that that didn't include the setup cost of the tour. So it didn't include me buying my bike at the beginning. It didn't include my flights there or back. It did include running repairs along the road, which included chains, a new cassette, a new derailleur. I even had to buy a new rear wheel at one point where a tree collapsed on my bike, but that's a story for another time. So, next question. What were any of the major differences when in Canada versus West Coast America versus South America in regard to the society or the people? Okay, so every country is different, obviously, or every country has their unique culture, and every region within that country has a unique culture as well. So it's very hard to sum that up, but I think I should say Canadians lived up to their reputation of being super friendly. West Coast Americans I found to be chilled out and relaxed, and for the most part pretty open-minded. As I got further through Latin America, again, I found everyone to be really, really friendly. You have differences in society, certainly. So in Peru, for example, there's vast differences between who's rich and who's poor. So you could have a woman that was literally leading a pizza market up the road from a small village, and driving by would be a Peruvian in a brand new four-wheel drive and on an iPhone. It is one of those ironies in life that people that have less money are more hospitable, and that's maybe if you're travelling you can relate to that. So yeah, there's some of the differences, and yeah, a thoroughly good time really. Next question. What kind of bike did you use, or was it multiple bikes? So I used one bike for the trip. It was a 26-inch steel frame bike, and it was made by a UK company called Doors. It was a Doors Sada. I don't know if anyone watching this remembers them. I think it was the last 26-inch wheel steel frame bike they made, which is a bit of a shame. It was the cheapest bike, well actually it was the most affordable bike I could get at the time that fulfilled my needs, which was a steel frame and 26-inch wheels. It did the job. It pretty much only really lasted the trip, to be fair. I tried to repair it afterwards and get it back up to scratch, but it wasn't going to work. My preference for bicycle touring is to have 26-inch wheels, a steel frame and V-brakes. They're kind of my three things that I look for in a touring bike. And if you follow the YouTube channel, you'll see I've done a couple of reviews of Stanforth Kibo bicycles, which I really recommend. They're a UK manufacturer and they're hand-built bikes from the UK. Next question. How was the cell service out of the country? Is there any at all? Actually, I didn't take a mobile phone on that trip, so I couldn't honestly tell you. When you say out of the country, I guess you mean out of the USA. Okay, there's mobile service everywhere, and as I mentioned in one of the other answers, there's people in Peru on mobile phones, so it's, you know, mobile service is everywhere. You'd also find that data is cheaper in a lot of countries than in North America. My recommendation for cell phones would be to buy a SIM card in each country you go through. I recently did a bicycle tour from Greece to England. Again, you can check that out on this channel. And on that tour, I took my cell phone, bought a SIM card as I needed to, and the reception was fine everywhere. So, how did you get past the Darien Gap? Okay, the Darien Gap is between Panama and Colombia, and it's notoriously dangerous, and there's not an actual road there. It's a bit of a drug smuggling area where people go missing, or so legend has it. Basically, you wouldn't want to cycle through there, there's no point. I took a boat from, I can't remember the name of the place, but it was on the coast of Panama. We went via the San Blas Islands and then to Colombia. Now I really recommend going to the San Blas Islands because they're just beautiful. You should really enjoy the bicycle tour while you're doing it as well. So I would recommend that. I used a boat called Sailing Koala. I think he's still going. He's bought a new boat since, I've been led to believe. You can probably Google him online. That's how I got past the Darien Gap. Were you ever in life-threatening danger? Interesting question. I prefer to think of it as being in circumstances where I felt more alive than others. So I think probably when on reflection, it's more to do with the traffic if I felt in life-threatening danger than anything else. Obviously, a bicycle stands no chance against an articulated lorry. So I would just recommend keeping aware as you're cycling. Don't ride too tight to a curb because it doesn't give you any room to pull over. You know, take up as much space on the road as you want whilst not being a hazard to traffic. Everyone gets there in the end. Were you ever robbed, mugged, shot at or anything else while cycling through South America? No, I wasn't. I think there's a difference between being robbed and having things stolen. Neither has happened to me. I know people that have had things stolen. I don't know anyone personally that was robbed, i.e. they were mugged for their belongings. Maybe my appearance has got something to do with that and there's easier targets to find, I don't know. On the other hand, take precautions, you know, if you're in a strange city, you don't want to be walking back drunk out of your mind at 3 o'clock in the morning. You might as well, paint a sign saying you want to get mugged. So no, I've not been mugged or shot at. There is one dangerous section of road in Peru. Most people recommend that you go through the highlands of Peru instead. Do some research if you're planning the route, you'll find it. I've also written a blog post about this where I describe that route, and you can find that in the link below. What's the best strategy for crossing deserts? Okay, travel light, definitely. So on the Pan American Highway, or the Alaska to Argentina cycle ride, I didn't actually cross that many deserts. So the longest section without proper water would have been the salt pans in Bolivia, and I think that was 2 or 3 days. So obviously I stocked up with as much water as I could and went for it. The key things there are navigation. You need to know where you're going. You need to estimate the time that you're going to take and how much distance you can do a day. Be honest with yourself. Take enough water and a couple of litres for an emergency. The hardest stretch of desert I've ever cycled was actually in Sudan. And what I did there was I gave some of my kit for somebody to take ahead so that they could drop it off for me later on. So I travelled reasonably lightly through the desert. I loaded up with more water than I can carry. I think I had like 20 litres of water. It was a ridiculous amount. And also along the way there were villages with wells of water, which the water wasn't great, but when you be in the desert you take what's there. So any other specific hints for cycling in the desert? I mean, if you can sit out the hottest part of the day, that's something to do. I wouldn't cycle in the, some people say you should cycle in the dark in the desert. Don't do it. You're going to end up having an accident or something. It's not worth it. Sand is very different in every desert, so sometimes you sink in the sand, sometimes you just need to let a bit of air out the tyres and you'll just sail through. So every desert's different. So the key things are stock up with water, navigation, be honest with how much distance you can cover. And the final question on cycling to Alaska to Argentina: why did you not go to the entire way to the end? Yeah. So I cycled Alaska to Argentina, which was my goal, and I should have ended right at the end of Argentina, which is what I wanted to do. Several reasons why I didn't do this. The main one being I ran out of money. So I ran out of money, well, 6 months before I finished the trip actually. And then I discovered that I could kind of earn some money online at the time. So remember, this is 6 years ago, and my internet connection was not good in the countries I was going to. I had the tiniest laptop in the world. And I was doing a little bit of freelance writing. I think at one point I was earning $20 a day and spending 10, and that's how I got through the last 6 months. In the end, I could have perhaps carried on to the end, to the very south of Argentina. I was given a job offer in England. I decided to take it up, and in hindsight it was a very wise move because things have worked out brilliantly that led on from that job. I'm not working there now, but it's set me up for what I'm doing now, which is travel blogging, freelance writing. I live in Athens. Basically I'm working for myself now, so that worked out great. So I was a little bit gutted that I didn't make the end of the Argentina trip, and I could have done it if I just carried on, and maybe it would have taken me an extra 2 months. but in hindsight it worked out for me. So I hope that's answered all your questions. If you have any more questions about cycling from Alaska to Argentina along the Pan American Highway, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up the video if you liked it, subscribe to me on YouTube and all that jazz. Until next time, thanks very much. Cheers for now.